Hello, my kind people out in the world. I am Nate Couser, host of the Artist Exchange Radio Show, here live only on Big Exposed Radio every Friday, for right now, at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube page on Big Exposed Radio, as well as the Artist Exchange on YouTube. All of our social medias. Just go like it up and share it with your friends, your Uncle Charlie, your cousin Peaches. Get it out there. But today we have another special show and some awesome guests that are joining us. This must be Theater Month, because it's been nothing but theater artists so far, and I'm gonna continue it going. Next week we'll have a very kind spirit, Mr. Francis Sohn. He's a dancer and an actor, a fellow Coppinite, and he'll be joining us next week. But this week we have two phenomenal artists. I don't like to pigeonhole artists because you might be doing other things as well. But we're going to introduce them in 1 second. But I want to let everybody know, just give a sneak peek. The Artist Exchange has a new virtual location. If you can see behind me, it looks like some shelves and such. But this is a little sneak peek of what is the new Vashti Blue studio. Just a little sneak peek. We're doing a soft launch on May the 22nd, the weekend of my birthday, which is May 25th. So get all your gift cards, all your cash apps. You said what? I thought you said that. But get all your cash apps, get all that stuff ready for May 24th. We're doing a soft launch of Vashti Blue jewelry. So you can come by, socially distanced, because my mask will stay on until somebody give me some real answers. But we'll be safe, socially distanced. We'll be doing, a cycle of people coming in, and you can buy and you can create and meet me in person and say hello, because I haven't seen a lot of people in a very long time. But we're jumping out there in 2021 and just throwing caution to the wind and just being this no more starving artists. We're going to be thriving artists from now on. But today I have Miss Wetzel and Miss Lamb joining us today. They are part of a festival of plays that will be brought to you. And I'll let Miss Wetzel introduce the company, and then I'll let Miss Lamb introduce herself as well. Well, you can introduce yourself too, Miss Wetzel.
So great. My name is Aladrian Wetzel, and I'm the executive director of a small theater company in Baltimore. Its name is Two Strikes Theater Collective. And we created the name because it's a company created for and by and about Black women, right? I was born with two strikes against me. I was born as both a woman and being Black. And so we created this company to kind of make that a positive image to, being a Black woman is awesome. So we want to tell Black women.
Switch the narrative.
Yes, switch the narrative, tell our stories, put our stories up front and, up front in the atmosphere, so that people can get an understanding of kind of what we do and what we talk about and what we listen to and what we understand. So, so that's a little bit about me and the company. And we created this show. It's called This Crown Is Mine. And I'll turn it to Taylor. Taylor's actually one of the playwrights that we incorporated as a part of this play, and I'll let her introduce herself and tell us a little bit about the show.
Hi, yes, my name is Taylor Lee Lamb. I am a playwright and some other things, but mainly a playwright. And I am fortunate to have a piece in This Crown Is Mine, which is focused on hair. As we know, Black women's hair, Black people's hair is a hot topic of discussion, often hair discrimination in the workplace and in schools. And there's even now, luckily, legislation being pushed so that people can't discriminate against Black people's hair, which is great. But it's the fact that needs to happen shows why this show is so important. So it is a series of, is it 12? Is that right, Adrian? 12 pieces from 12 Black women playwrights. And I am lucky to be one of them.
I am loving the creativity that is coming out of our struggle, our stories, our trauma. Hair is definitely a part of our culture as people of color. And unfortunately, we all have a story where we've been either embarrassed or admonished or just ridiculed for our hair. Going to private schools my whole life, I was never able to wear my hair outside of the workplace casual hairstyle. So the braids that I tried to get, the locks that I tried to get, the designs in my haircut, all were bashed, and I was not allowed to do it. But yet our counterparts were able to goop it up and do whatever they wanted to do with their hair. So I definitely understand you, Miss Lamb. It gave me a flashback of high school and middle school. It is definitely something that in 2021 we should not still be having a debate or legislation for. Let people be who they are, and stop it. Just stop it, people. But you reached out to me to do an interview because you were on here before, and theater seems to be, I don't want to say it was paused throughout this pandemic, but we had to fight and figure out ways internally to still convey our messages and our stories out there, because we normally are the people that keep the crazy times going. But we were kind of the first ones to get the chop, artists across the board. So how was it producing, creating, artistic directing throughout this ordeal? And I'm gonna ask you the same thing, Ms. Lamb, in terms of creating.
Yeah. So interesting thing enough, Two Strikes Theater Collective, we actually started the collective back in July of 2019. And so our goal was to do, a couple, like maybe a soft launch or maybe like a really small show in like the early part of 2020. And so right on when COVID happened, we were like, what are we gonna do? And so it ended up, I hate to say it this way, but it ended up, COVID-19 actually kind of helped us in a sense, because we don't have our own space. So it's just a collective of about 5 or 6 women. So it allowed us to take more effort and put more effort into, into marketing, put more effort into kind of understanding like what our mission statement is, and helped us with, doing social media and extending our reach and letting people at least know what we were about, and trying to kind of, collect other artists who we thought, understood what we were doing and wanted to be a part of it. And we got a chance to do a virtual show with a shout out to the female-centric theater, the Strand Theater Company. We did a virtual festival with them, play festival with them, back in October of 2020. And we got a chance to have playwrights, not just here in the DMV, participate, but we had folks from Atlanta, we had folks from Tennessee, we had folks from New York. So like just being virtual, getting our name out there allowed more people to know who we were. And so that all helped. And it's just, we're continuing to do that in a safe way and figuring out how we can try to, do a hybrid situation once the theaters and stuff become open. So COVID really hasn't hurt us. It's actually helped us connecting.
And I like hearing that. I like hearing that because, and many people have said this in many different ways, it leveled the playing field. So the commercial artists had to do what we've been doing, struggle and figure it out and be the face of our own creativity. And I think it helped a lot of people thrive. I think it hurt some people because we just didn't know what to do. And people, a small portion stay stuck in that. But I've seen, even from myself, other artists, this station, other states, it made us push and figure this technology thing out and figure out how to talk to each other virtually. And it just it created a whole new stage for us. You know, I teach my students a lot about different thrust stages and proscenium and environmental. Now we have virtual. And now I think it's going to be a staple in moving forward because it's going to help people to be able to see it, as you said, around the world. So now we're international theater companies.
Yeah, I would also say that it also created new positions, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like people technical directors and people know about sound guys and lighting guys, but now there's like
StreamYard tech.
Yeah, StreamYard and OBS and Zoom like technicians, like people had never done that before, and now there's a market for it, right? Now people are clamoring to try to find people who have those kinds of skills.
Me.
So yeah, it's really changed the playing field and kind of changed the narrative of what theater could be and what it looks like. So
right. And Ms. Lamb, how unmute yourself? How was this moment for you as a writer? That I guess writers like the isolation, but was this year and some change plus good for you?
Yeah, I think so. I guess it's kind of hard I don't know what I would have been doing if I wasn't in the pandemic. Like, I don't know where things would have been going. But I think, obviously I was still able to write, and I did do a fair bit of writing over the last year, and also just kind of cooler opportunities. Like, I had a group of Black graduate students who they have been doing like a meetup since the pandemic to connect with more people and like Black theater makers. And they read my play, so they contacted me for reading. And I can't imagine that would have happened outside of the pandemic. And similar things, I think there's been a lot of just like cross collaboration across the country, outside of the country, because now we all are on Zoom. So who cares if you're in California and I'm in New York, So I just think that it has opened up some more opportunities and also made people think outside of the box a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of people shut down offices and now everything is virtual for them. And I like the possibility of artists not feeling like their state and city lines prohibit them, or your inability to be able to travel will inhibit you from creating and networking even with other artists. I love the fact that many people found a way to communicate outside of the literal communication, but reaching out beyond their 4-block radius, that is their city or their art community, and reached out to other people. I saw a lot of international collaborations with local theater companies and artists in general. So I'm really excited for your company and your organization and how you persevered through this. I really like this. And I think throughout this, it taught us to work together. We really do need each other. What was the purpose of this festival, this women-led, for us, by us festival?
Yeah, so the precipice, the reason why we created Two Strikes, right, was because Black women's voices tend not to be heard. We're in this weird intersection, right? That we have to deal with, misogyny, and we have to deal with racism, and the whole idea of Black women, Black women dying, Black trans women dying. We thought it was important that our voices be put in the forefront. And especially with everything happening with COVID, people needed opportunities to be able to put their voices out on the stage, be able to have a place where art, could be done and could be created, to be able to speak through all of the stuff that's happening in the world, right? And so this whole idea, and Taylor mentioned it earlier, about how we have to create legislation to allow me to wear a twist out at work, like, and allow somebody not to discriminate me because I'm wearing my hair as it grows out of my head. Like, that whole idea was just, so we want to make sure that women get the opportunity to talk about their stories. Like, this crown is mine is not for white people. I'm sorry, it's not for y'all, right? It's for Black women to be like, look, I'm here to talk to other Black people. I want y'all to hear my story.
Celebrate us.
Yes, celebration. Black hair is always policed, antagonized. It's told that it's ugly. Like, we wanted to have a place and a space for people to tell their personal stories, to be able to celebrate what we already think is a crown, right? It's a crown I wear on my head every day I'm a beautiful Black queen, and everybody should know about it. And that's the point of this particular play festival.
I like how that narrative, Ms. Lamb, is. Can I call you Taylor? I was going crazy. Taylor, I like that how that theme has crept into the social consciousness of artists. I'm thinking as soon as you said the topic matter of I thought of bad hair and how cartoonish it was, how they exaggerated, but it wasn't that far from how we really have self-hated ourselves and policed ourselves and kind of restrained ourselves. Even for me, I just got tired of doing everything, trying to be professional, but yet be an artist. And, even as an actor, I was policed in college because I wanted a mohawk one semester and I wanted twisted. And we being told as Black people, you gotta just cut that off so you can be, more professional. And that is disheartening because you're telling me leave a part of yourself and throw it away and give me a blank slate of who you are. And it's horrible to even imagine that. What is your experience, Taylor, in this production, or where are you personally in this production?
So I have a piece in it. I actually didn't write as much about a personal experience, although I do have plenty of stories about my hair that I could have written, but it's more of like commentary on the natural hair movement and where it currently stands from the perspective of an Instagram influencer or YouTube, Instagram, all the influencers. So I have a piece in there with a great actress, but there are also a lot of really good pieces. There's poetry and dance, and it's just very unique.
How did as a playwright, how do you fit your piece in a short? Because normally we want these epic plays that give all this explanation and characterization, but how do you condense that for a festival purpose? Edit. I guess the word is edit.
Yeah, that's a good question. It helps that it wasn't like I wrote something that I had to adapt, but that I wrote a very clear prompt, Also, I'm still pretty new to playwriting. I only have one full-length play. So I'm and full-length stuff takes me a long time and years to edit and go back. So it was almost refreshing to be like, this is the prompt. You only have this many minutes. This is the deadline. So it forced me to get out of my head and really be very clear with the story, which I think that sometimes with full-length stuff, you are allowed to be a little less clear because you have more time, which could be good, but I think that it was nice that it forced me to be concise.
Yeah, okay. Taylor, I can tell you, I also do dabble in playwriting too, and I'm with you. I have maybe one or two full-length pieces, and they take forever and they take a lot of energy. And I like the 5 to 10 minute. I can create an arc of a story in a short amount of time, because that's enough time to kind of get an understanding of kind of who's involved, what's happening, and then you can be done.
Without all the extra transitions,
without all that extra stuff, and especially if you have a prompt like we did for This Crown Is Mine, we said it had to be less than 5 minutes, and it had to talk about black hair, or Black women, Black hair experience, and that at least that gave some level of parameter. So there's still so many different creative things that you can do even within those two pieces. And you can see that whenever our show premieres on May 22nd. We've got, like Taylor said, we got poems, we got choreo poems, we got dancing, we have monologues, we have different kinds of plays that show that. It's just theater. It's just, and it's all filmed, and we all it's pre-filmed and pre-recorded, and it'll be basically about an hour or so of just Black hair experience. That's what it's going to be.
Where are you in that experience and choosing that as a writing prompt for your playwrights?
Well, for me, well, one of our board members, her name, shout out to Rachel Wilson. She came up with the idea when we were kind of thinking about what we wanted to do for this season. She was really just fascinated with just different women's perspectives on hair, and we sent a note out to, you know, several playwrights or people that we had worked with previously or people who we wanted to work with and said, hey, we got this idea. We want to write about Black hair. Are you interested? Send us a sample of your writing and like, we'll let you know. And then from there, we kind of distilled it down to about 12 folks who we thought would had a voice and something that needed to be heard. And then we kind of pieced together, like, you know, over the, I think we did it since February or March, we kind of pieced it together and gave them the opportunity to write. Our director of play development, you know, had made herself available. So if they needed to, you know, bounce ideas off of someone, you know, be able to provide like additional feedback to help them with their writing and also help them with any direction. And then I kind of work with them to help to see, you know, what technical pieces that they wanted to use and incorporate into their piece. And then kind of from there, we kind of created this, you know, really, really interesting block. And they're all different, but really interesting block of plays that kind of speak to the different, you know, different aspects of being a Black woman and your hair. So I think it's a good opportunity to get a lot of people, you know, again, 5 minutes is not a long time, but it's just enough to get an idea and get a sense of who somebody's voice is when they're actually writing and creating.
It makes a powerful statement. I love festival style plays because you normally get through all the pomp and circumstance and you get to the point. But as an actor, we like to get our chops and be seen and elongated. But I'm quite sure as a playwright, it has to be very rewarding to just get a clear, concise message across. One of my favorite playwrights, Susie Lloyd Parks, in her 365 plays in 365 days, she wrote, some of it was a page long, a couple sentences, but they were very powerful in and of themselves, being very short, and that you had to interpret the theme, or it forced you to really focus on what was being said and not kind of piecing things together throughout an hour and a half, 2 hour piece. In terms of creating festivals, what goes into creating a festival for somebody who may be thinking about either being a part of it or doing one themselves?
Yeah, so I would say the best piece of advice I can give someone who would want to start like a play festival or music festival or whatever is to put a schedule together. You know, it sounds like really, really basic.
Get organized, people.
But you gotta be organized like up front, right? And I mean, Taylor could attest to this. When we had our first production meeting with all of the playwrights, I put out a schedule that was like, okay, this is the first day you start writing. This is the day your first draft is due. This is the day that we're going to, you know, your final draft is due. This is when your videos are due. You know, you have to put specific milestones to make sure that everyone knows what they're doing. Because what happens, especially in theater, is people who don't put a schedule together, we get like real late. It becomes like 2 days before the festival.
Oh my God, I got it. Oh my God.
Exactly. So if you're able to do that and have very clear guidance about what your expectations are, you know, I'm old school. I'm all about contracts, right? Put it in black and white. Tell people exactly.
We gotta have a meeting. Hey man, you gonna meet after this because I need you in my life. Because as a mainly a performer, I've been a director, so that is I have to know the dates before we even start rehearsal. But as an actor, that makes me feel so safe because that means you thought about my time before you actually met me, and that makes me feel just safe and just appreciate it, because we're not gonna be in here guessing, oh, this may take 2 hours of rehearsal today, or this may you put together. Thank you.
You put it out front. Like I said, we had contracts. All of the playwrights had a contract that said, you know, this is what you're responsible for. This is how much we will get paid, because at Two Strikes Theater Collective, we pay our artists.
Okay.
This is
when is the next open call? When is the next open call?
But I will have to tell you one thing. I will have to admit, on my day job, I'm a project manager. So producing is not far off.
And that goes into another part of it. Being able to use your outside experience, often as artists and entrepreneurs, all the things we did on our real jobs, our 9-to-5s, we normally leave that at the job. No, bring that with you. You need that, customer service training. As somebody who sells something, I know plenty of people who sell stuff who don't. Miss, did you ever work in customer service? Like at some point, did you learn anything? But I think that's very valuable for artists. Bring your world experience to your art. It will, I'm sure as a writer, it only makes your job easier to pull from content if you bring your life experience. Don't leave that when you decide I'm gonna jump off this cliff. No, bring that with you because you're gonna need that to cushion that fall that's gonna happen sooner or later. In terms of writing, where do you normally draw your experience from? Do you prevent yourself from being personal, or is being personal a part of your writing style?
So that's a good thing. I think that I don't know if this is a little narcissistic, but like any play I've ever written, there's one character that's like a little based on me. I just like I write her like I would like, or maybe instead of based on me, I should say she's usually aspirational. Like this is who I think I am. I don't know if other people like that. So I always have one of those. But generally, I actually haven't written that many things based on personal experience as much as I have like things that I see out in the world that I want to comment on because I have a lot of opinions. But
that's an experience though. It may not be you didn't walk in that experience, but you spectated, you viewed it. So that's your experience.
Yeah. So yeah, most of the stuff that I've written is like, I see something on the news or just like in the world. And I'm like, I have thoughts about that. Let me try to make a play out of this.
Well, I'll speak on the elephant in the room. During this year, we had Breonna Taylor. Throughout this pandemic, I'll say we had Breonna Taylor. We had one after another trans woman being killed. We had the George Floyd death, murder, and trial, and soon conviction. Conviction, but now sentencing. How much of that has been a part of your? Okay, I'm gonna write a little bit over here. I'm gonna write a little bit over here. How much of all this stuff bombarding us with a pandemic, a global pandemic on top of that? How much of that has been in your journals or your little side playwrights journal?
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily my plays. I've written some blog posts and then also some articles. I think that if anything, it's more that it like what goes on in the world pushes me to do like some more education, which then influences my plays. So just for example, after George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, there was a lot of conversation about abolition of prisons and policing. So I started, doing my Googles, reading the books and everything. And that has since influenced a lot of my work. So it's less of like, I'm going to write a play about these people who have been murdered by the police, but more like this injustice inspired me to learn something else that is now completely changing the way I approach my writing.
I think that is smart, especially for a new playwright, because that goes beyond research, because now you're creating content to be able to pull from and writing about. So I can't wait to see what that one is, because I know you went in on that research. Tell me a little bit about the other plays in this festival. And you don't have to give me, synopsis on all of them, but what can we expect?
Yeah, sure. Like I said, I'm literally like in the throes of doing all the editing and putting all the pieces together. So we have Taylor's piece that talks about an Instagram influencer and her opinions on natural hair. I think we have a piece about a woman who has dreadlocks and about her acceptance of comments from other people and her kind of growing into her idea of loving her hair the way it grows out of her head. Another person wrote from the perspective of Black hair. So it's actually of someone who has personified Black hair and talked about the history of how
that's my favorite writing prompt. I love personification. I love it.
Yeah. But it talked about like how the history of how like Black hair, like from the transatlantic slave trade, and how the tibions that they used to wear, the hair coverings that they put on women in Louisiana, and about how we've kind of taken full circle and kind of come back to understanding our hair type. Another woman wrote a choreo poem about like not hating her hair, but not really hating her hair, but not really loving it either, just kind of accepting who she is, right? And she's still kind of figuring out what that is. So the plays run the gambit from personal. I forgot one of my favorite ones. Someone wrote about being in theater, and she wrote a play about how like we'll say how some dramaturgs and like costumers and hair people don't
What are we gonna do with this?
What our hair, what am I gonna do with this? And she wrote a whole like presentation, a whole play about her talking to this dramaturg lady, and this lady's like, I can't get a wig. You don't want me to get a wig. I'm not paying for my own weave as a part of the show. Like, you need to pay for something that you want me to do differently. And it's just an interesting kind of way to kind of talk about that topic straight up. And I was like, this play, it is really, really good. I mean, all of them are really, really good.
The series.
But talking about theater, like that one hit close to home because
I was just oh Lord, that took me back to high school. It just, I can't put racist on every single person. Ignorant, I can. And insensitive, I can. It's something. Hair seems so insignificant to everything else that's going on in the world, but it's how it grows out of my head. Even if you wear tracks or you wear lace fronts or you color it or cut it, it's how we represent ourselves. Outside of our face, that's how, in our clothing and how we speak, that's normally the first thing people notice about us. So we put attention into that as people of color. And you bring that one,
that one hits you.
Even as a guy, because we are taught that either you cut it all off or you wear a nice Caesar haircut, and that's it. Even a beard, the same thing you all are going through with locks, facial hair. This used to be horrible for men. We were never allowed to have beards. In terms of educational systems or workplace environments, this was unprofessional. Now it's in vogue.
Right.
And it's a part of pop culture now. And I'm thinking, so I understand where you all are coming from. As somebody who had a high top fade and had to cut it off in order to go to my middle school, like I was, how hard it is to get your Gumby just right. But it was definitely, this is coming home, and a lot, you will trigger a lot of people with this festival, and with your words, Miss Taylor. It's really going to be. People don't realize how sensitive hair is to us. We, guys and women alike, we spend a big part of our lives in barbershops and hair salons, or in hair stores, or trying to figure out how to get our own lineup together. But this is definitely, I commend you for jumping out there and not, trying to stay on another path. We're talking more about police brutality, like really going in a total different direction with our activism.
Right.
Because this was real controversial a couple years ago when they were trying to create legislation to accept locks as a part of educational systems and workplace environments. And the fact that you all are putting that out there is marvelous.
Yeah. The Crown Act is not a national. It's not national yet. It's only available in several states. Thankfully, believe here in Maryland, it is enacted here.
Right.
But it's funny. What I don't know if you watch HBO, but last night or last week tonight with John Oliver. Last week he did a specific segment. So this white British dude is talking about edges being laid. And he did a segment about Black hair and about Black hair discrimination, and about how people, like you said earlier, it's not necessarily racism. It's just ignorance, right? Like, if you have a question, like, don't come and touch my hair. I don't know you. If you have a question about Black hair, Google it. figure out type in lace front wig, type in twist out, type in dreads. Like, it's not my responsibility to teach you. It's my responsibility, all right, to listen and answer questions appropriately. But at the end of the day, like, it's other people have to understand. If I have to understand how your hair works, and if I were a theater artist and I know what kinds of things that you do to your hair, on the same path, you need to know what I do, and you need to make sure that my hair is I'm taken care of in a larger production or in a show or in a movie. And there are sorry, I'm going off on a tangent.
Go ahead.
There are actresses, like A-list, B-list actresses, like in Hollywood, who have to do their own hair because they don't have hairdressers to do their hair, men and women alike. Someone just sprays some water and picks it out. I'm like, no, Halle Berry shouldn't be doing her own hair. She should ask to do it.
Right.
What our hair takes and what different textures and what have you. And that's not always the case, small stage or on the big stage.
And it goes deeper than this. So hair will go into makeup, go into how we dress, our vernacular, our language. It's so many, tentacles to this conversation. But again, I'm on the fence on whether it's my responsibility to educate or get a book, read a book, Google, or the intention of your question is really to knock me. It's not really to learn something new often. It's really because you don't understand it and it's to you.
Or to fetishize it. Or on the flip side, to be like, oh, look, that's so beautiful. I've never seen that before. It's so exotic. I'm like, no, it's not. It's
the Bo Derek / Kardashian braids now. That's, oh, wow. Kardashian, Kim's really wearing those cornrows. We wasn't, you don't even know the origin of that. You don't even know why cornrows are a thing. So it's embarrassing, when our aesthetics become, pop culture lingo or topic matter. But it's worse when you see it now being a part of the lexicon. So when white men started wearing beards, it became, and I'm not saying they never had them, but they would shave them to be professional. But now it's a part of, so now it's acceptable for me to have a beard. And I struggle with it because as Black men, we have to grow this out in order for it not to damage our skin. So it's not something it was this decoration. It was a tool. We had to do that. But again, not understanding our culture or how we are as people will leave you ignorant and saying ignorant things and making legislation or rules that's just ignorant. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited for this festival. I'm really excited for you, Lamb, to get your words out there. And that's an interesting topic in 2021 to have it come from a social influencer, because if I see one more hair tutorial, on the new comb, natural hair comb, I'm gonna go crazy. But it's big business in us. We spend so much money on this, but yet we still get discriminated. So our money doesn't necessarily match the respect we get back from it. And then that goes into a whole nother lexicon of conversation, the Asian hair markets, but we don't get the respect level for the money that we invest in this big business. In terms of what's next, how can we get tickets to this, or
Sure.
when would this be premiering?
So This Crown Is Mine will be premiering on May 22nd, and you can go to our website. That's twostrikescollective.com, and that is the best place where you can go to get a ticket. It's pay what you can, because we understand that not everybody can afford a certain ticket price. So we're taking it as Two Strikes is taking that as a donation.
Okay.
So it's pay what you can, and the video will be live streamed on YouTube, premiered on the 22nd. I think we're also going to try to live stream it on our Facebook page as well. But we appreciate the donation if people can afford.
How do they donate though? How and what ways can they donate?
Yeah, if you go to twostrikescollective.com and you go to register for a ticket,
Okay.
it'll take you to Eventbrite, and then it'll give you a donation link to our PayPal to be able to support the work that we do and to pay the artists that we have as a part of our company.
What else is going on with Two Strikes Theater Company?
You're right. So right after we close This Crown Is Mine.
You got to keep it moving. You got to keep it moving.
Gotta keep it going, keep it flowing. On June 19th, on Juneteenth, we are doing a co-production, a co-partnership with Fells Point Corner Theater. We actually have, as a part of Two Strikes, we have a playwrights collective. So once a month, we have a group of women who are playwrights, and we have an opportunity for everyone to kind of share what they're working on and what they're writing to get feedback. And what we want to use and we want to show and we want to do on Juneteenth is to sell the celebration of the work that they've been working on over the last couple of months. So it will be a series of staged readings, maybe some filmed content, for maybe a couple hours on Juneteenth to kind of, again, showcase the work that's kind of come out of the collective. And then later this summer, we're doing a podcast to talk, a limited series podcast to talk about just topics relative to COVID-19 and how they kind of impacted, the Black community, especially us as Black women. And then at the end of the year is our flagship show. It's called the Brown Sugar Bake Off. And that's the larger play festival that we have at the end of the year in October. So again,
are those short plays as well?
Yes, those will be 10-minute plays.
Okay.
We're getting the bigger. and with that one, we actually have a larger prompt. So it's how do we work it? We usually give people, you have to have a Black woman protagonist. You have to have a certain number of characters. I think it's like no more than 4 or 5 characters because of COVID. And brown sugar is always a topic, so you have to incorporate brown sugar as a part of your writing. And then we usually have maybe 3 or 4 other topics. I think last year we had a wig. It was brown sugar, a wig, a gathering, and someone. What was it?
A sign.
And a sign. Yep, that was right. That's right. Taylor was in that one too. So that festival, it's just slightly different, but again, it's kind of opening the aperture again to allow Black women to tell their stories, not specifically about Black hair, but about any Black women experiences that they want to try to incorporate those individual pieces as well. So we got a full year of stuff.
How often do you do full-length plays, and do you only do original work?
Right. So right now, because
original work.
Yeah. So right now, because of COVID, and also the fact that full-length plays and non-original plays kind of are expensive, right, to get the rights to it.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to do a full-length play and I'm going to pay for the rights, I want to wait till we have the opportunity to be on stage, right? Do it full up, pay the tickets, have it for several weekends. So Two Strikes is kind of leaning right now to being more to original work, again, to allow these artists and women who are kind of out there, or women who didn't even think they could be playwrights or new playwrights, to give them the opportunity to showcase their voice. That's kind of where we're focusing on, at least now in the interim. And hopefully that could, blossom into maybe we can get Taylor to write a full-length piece and commission her.
All right, Taylor.
That could happen. That could happen.
Well, I have a piece for you, so we're gonna talk about it, because I love what Baltimore and beyond is doing within our Black, our women, our LGBTQ, our other minority groups. I just love the push that's happening right now, and that we are spearheading. Nobody's giving us an opportunity. Many of us are creating these lanes for ourselves. So I much love and respect and success to you, Ms. Taylor, as well as you too, Ms. Wetzel, and that we need each other. And I'll, as we close out, I normally ask the last question, what advice would you give to your 17-year-old self? Not to change anything, we're not going to cheat. And what advice would you give to your 17-year-old self? And what question would you ask to your 100-year-old self?
Ooh. Ugh. I'm gonna let Taylor go first. I gotta think about that one.
What advice would I give to myself? I
Just
think
cushion the blows of life a little bit. Just a cushion.
I think developing a mindfulness practice because that has completely transformed my life. Like,
can you explain to people who don't know what that is?
Yeah, so mindfulness, like as in, and I'm may not define it properly, but I think we'll get the vibe. Mindfulness is like being present, and actually being where you are and what you're doing. So instead of like doing this and thinking about other things or being on autopilot, being present in the moment. And lots of things can be mindfulness practice. Mine is literally a seated meditation, 20 minutes a day, that I started a year ago. Wasn't 20 minutes. I started with 5. But that was the catalyst to so many other things in my life. Like once you sit down and you like give yourself a moment to just be, that really opens up a lot of doors if you're someone who doesn't normally do that, which I was not. So I think that is something that I would tell my 17-year-old self, is to start her mindfulness practice.
And that you were right on with mindfulness. It's any exercise or activity that either centers you as an individual or brings a group to a centered place. It's yoga, like you said, any of those mindful training, exercise. And what question would you ask to your 100-year-old self?
Honestly, that question scares me. I think I just want to be like, did you have a good time? And hopefully she says yes. And then I don't want to know anything else, because I feel like that's just going to make me anxious knowing too much about my future.
And you, Miss Wetzel, I just love that name. I love it.
Oh, thank you. It's funny, like I said, my Instagram handle is literally chocolate covered Wetzel. So
that's a t-shirt. Please put that on a t-shirt. That's merch.
So Taylor's, had a version of Taylor's mindfulness related to my 17-year-old self. So but I'll adjust a little bit. I think one advice I would tell my 17-year-old self is be savage, be bold.
Okay.
Because like I said, we'll just say I'm somewhere between 30 and 40 years old. Not gonna tell what number.
Okay. But it's nobody's business. It's your business.
I might be 25. We'll whatever.
But stop counting.
But seriously, so once I turned 30 and came in my 30s, I became more centered about who I was. And I would love for my 17 and not caring what other people thought, and just kind of being me and doing me and doing me to the fullest, right? And I wish I could have told my 17-year-old self, like, not to worry about all these things and thinking about the future and doing all this. No, sis, just be you. Do what you got to do. Ask the questions. Do what you need, and then just don't worry about the haters. Just like keep on moving. Like that's what I would tell 17-year-old Adrian. I think the question I would ask 100-year-old Adrian Wetzel would be, did you have fun? Because like at the end of the day, like those are the memories that you remember. You remember the good times, right? Did you enjoy your life? Did you have fun? Did you try new things? Did you experiment? Did you step outside of your comfort zone? I want to see if she continues to kind of do that, which is kind of where I want to be, and continue to do myself. I've never edited video before, and now I'm editing plays for a whole festival. So we got to try new things every now and then.
Try new things. It won't hurt, maybe a little. And in these responses, I'm a kind of a psychology geek, a Rorschach test, if you will, geek. And these questions tell you a lot about where you are currently. Right now you're putting your nose to the ground and you're working things. So you may not be having the fun that you want to have across the board. And it tells you where you are mentally. It's like the ink blot test to yourself almost. So ask yourself these questions, and you're mindful meditations. And it where you are, and this question should change and may go back and may push forward. It may stay the same for a minute while you're building. But just to everybody that's listening, ask yourself these questions periodically as a writing prompt or a mindful training prompt. It really gives you a good indication of where you are, what you may need to work on, what you're excelling in. Based on how you answer those two questions. 17 is a moment where the veil has been lifted. And I'm sure if any of us are blessed to get to 80, 90, 100 and beyond, the veil has been dropped off a long time ago. So where you are is just taking it day by day. Is no question as to what is next. It's just, where am I at right now? So definitely, thank you, ladies. One more time, can you give the information on how people can get tickets and how people can support your organization in general? And also give us your contact and social media, Miss Lamb.
So I'll go first. So again, Two Strikes Theater Collective. You can reach us and give donations and get tickets to This Crown Is Mine on twostrikescollective.com. We're also on social media. On Facebook, we're at TSTC_Baltimore, and on Facebook at TSTC.Baltimore. And we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you. I'm me too, then. Miss Lamb.
You can find me on social media at Tay Lee Lamb. Lee is spelled Leigh, Lamb like the animal. And I have a website, but I'm not yet at the place where I can justify the expense of a domain. But if you Google Taylor Lee Lamb, my website does come up. But it's like one of those log website names because I'm not there with the justname.com yet.
But just a tidbit, get it now, because if you don't, once you start putting that out in the lexicon, people buy them up.
Yeah.
So get it now, or you had to change your name or alter it slightly, but no pressure.
No make pressure. It rain, Taylor. We'll make it rain and get you that domain, that domain address.
Thank you, ladies, for joining us. I really appreciate it. I'm definitely going to tune in. I wish you so much well. Please come back again and again and again and again. When Juneteenth comes up, we definitely going to have you back on. I really appreciate you for thinking of the Artist Exchange. We are here for you. We're here to help you with engagement and get your message and your story out there. So many blessings to you all, Miss Tay Lee Lamb and Miss Wetzel, the chocolate covered Wetzel. I appreciate you both for tuning in and joining us today. And for the rest of the show, I just want to let you all know, support each other. So this is the year to get out there and jump. We go bring all the blessings to Ms. Lamb and get that domain popping so we can speak that into her existence. And don't forget, on the 22nd, not only is this production gonna premiere, but we're also doing a pop-up, not a pop-up. We're no longer doing pop-ups because we got a permanent space because we jumped off the bridge. And come on out, 1734 Maryland Avenue. Myself, I thought she was gonna come on. Miss Tamika from the Style Lounge. She's having a graduation for her youth entrepreneurship program. So we're doing kind of like a big soft opening of both of our businesses, as well as promoting the youth on that day. So come on down, take part in it, get some refreshments. We're going to have some nice vittles, some nice vegan vittles, because I'm no longer eating of the meat substance. And then we're also going to be having all the jewelry on display. And you can come and sign up. We're doing a summer program as well. So you can come and sign up, adults as well as children. We're doing an entrepreneurship push for our artists and our youth. So definitely come on by, sign up, see some stuff, get some vittles, see a graduation, buy some stuff, and just chill. Socially distanced, right? Safe, all that. 1734 Maryland Avenue, the 22nd from 10 to 7. So you come in any window of time. And ladies, again, thank you. I appreciate you. Much success to your theater company and your writing and all that you all do creatively and in life in general. Be safe. And this has been another edition of the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And send